Track wrestling with Grandview University head wrestling coach Nick Mitchell. We are going to do a facilities tour, but in the background you see national champions. You guys have won 8 national championships in a row, NAIA division. That has to feel good knowing you have a room that's producing champions, Nick.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was kind of the goal when we got this thing started back in 2008, 2009. And yeah, we won the last 8 and just focused on the next one right now.
Behind you, 4 full mats. I think you said they were 45 by 45. Biggest wrestling room in the state of Iowa. And that says a lot because Iowa is a state that's known for wrestling. How did you get this facility? How did you get a space that could fit 4 full wrestling mats?
Yeah, so we, kind of the long story short, like I said, we started wrestling at Grandview in 2008, 2009. And, you know, at the time, I don't think the school knew how fast it was going to grow or what the magnitude of the program was going to look like. So really, by year number 3, especially year 4, we were starting to outgrow our old facility. The old wrestling room was probably about 1.5 mat total space, and you know, we got to the point where we were getting up to 45, close to 50 guys on the team, and so we were at the old facility, and Grandview knew, you know, it was time to start looking at something different. And we'd been looking on campus, you know, trying to find the right space, but Grandview had we'd really grown a lot since we started wrestling and football in the same year. And we just didn't really have the place on campus to do it. And lucky for us, this building, it was an old bowling alley, and it was just about a half mile off campus, and it came for sale. And they brought Coach Reedy and I down here to check it out and kind of see what we thought. And we weren't too excited about it at first, to tell you the truth. I mean, it looked like an old bowling alley. You know, it was low ceilings, carpet on the floor, smelled like cigarettes and beer, and we just didn't really see the vision. And you know, they kind of worked with us. They showed us the blueprints of what it could look like, and we kind of started buying into it. And man, I'm lucky that they had the vision, because we love it down here. I mean, we're obviously really fortunate to be down here, and it's an awesome spot.
Let's pan around. Let's show the workout equipment here. Just take us through, of course, bikes.
Yeah,
important part of making weight.
Airdynes, treadmill over there, a couple row machines. It was kind of funny. One day we showed up, and somebody, I think from our Viking wrestling program, dropped off an old school Nordic track. I think it's from like 1985, but it actually gets used, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, we've got 4 full mats here. Like you said, these are all 45 by 45 mats. And the great thing for us is that with all the space on the outside, we've got the full space of the mats. So it's not like the bikes are on top of the mats. We've got some area over here where our bleachers are. So every day before practice, our guys come in. When they walk in, they head down to their locker room, they change, and then they come back in that hallway over there. They sit in the bleachers, and I give them some kind of message, you know, before practice every day, whether it's you know, just announcements that need to be made, or talking about lifestyle, or you know, things I think they need to hear. And that's kind of how we kick off every day, and then we get started.
Let's walk through. We have a training room in here, so this works out great. They can just go right into here.
Yeah, so yeah, really fortunate. Our training room is connected to the wrestling facility. Got a really good situation here. Our trainer's with us every day in practice, so training tables, everything we need. We've got a little fold-up table over there. We've got a team chiropractor that comes in once a week. We actually have 2 team chiropractors, Dr. Miller and Dr. Neg, that are local here in town. We've got this scale here. We work with a company called Ekin Nutrition, and they actually donated this scale. It's like a $12,000 scale, but obviously it does weight, but it does body fat. It does water levels, intercellular, extracellular water. You get a printout from this scale that kind of shows where our guys are as far as their body fat, what their numbers look like, and then along with that, they've got an app that they can use that tracks their meals. We can track their meals. We can see what they're eating. We can see if they're high on carbs, if they're low on protein. It's a huge advantage for us, and something that we've been really fortunate to work with this company. So it's been pretty awesome.
And then this feeds right into the hallway here.
Yep. So in here, there's a conference room. This is where we'll meet with recruits when they come on campus, and got a championship lifestyle. This is really what the program's been built on. So you'll see a lot of championship lifestyle here in this facility with the logo, and then right behind you here is a pretty good little mural of some of the top moments of the first years of the program. Different national champs and teams that have won titles.
And just to clarify, this is not your offices that you work out of. This is just a auxiliary office when you're here.
That's right. So we we still have our offices on campus, and it was just something, I like being on campus. I like being around, the students and the other coaches. And so we have this office down here where we have a bunch of part-time coaches. And, last year I think we had 12 coaches on staff total. So a lot of those guys use this either during the day. We've got guys like Grant Turner, Chad Lohman, Jason Clark. They all work from home. Grant and Chad both work for Nike, APS. And so they're down here a lot. They watch film down here with the guys. And then some of our guys will use this for just a spot to do homework, things like that too. So, got all the old national champion pictures up on the wall here. The latest, getting ready to get hung up. And just a little lounge area back here, so place for some of the guys to hang out. Got a pretty, that's actually our second foosball table. The first one, we had a pretty serious Christmas tournament a couple years ago, and it didn't quite make it through.
Got heated, huh?
Got heated, as you can imagine. But yeah, pretty cool spot here for guys to hang out. And then just a little coach's locker room here. Good place for coaching staff. So enough room for us, and guys get a break from us that way. And then our guys come in this way. This is their locker room space. So they come in every day. So it's nice, it's big enough. Everybody gets their own locker. We designed them specifically this way so the lockers would stay open. We've got our work study that does the laundry for them. So when they're, everybody's got a loop, and so when they're done, they just hang their laundry up for them, and it's ready. Regular scale, it's not $12,000. And then this takes them out. So the nice thing about this flow is that when guys come in, especially during the wintertime, they come in that hallway. We've got that little entryway. They come in the hallway, they walk down here, they change for practice, and then this takes them back out. Then we never have to worry about guys tracking dirt or mud or anything into the room. So when they come out here, they're in their wrestling gear with their wrestling shoes. The laundry area here. And then back out to the facility here.
So take us through this. You have the Wrestling All-Americans up here, as we mentioned.
Yeah.
8 national championships in a row. And what's cool is you started in 2009, so that's an impressive board of national champions. And then 2017, you set the all-time record at, what was it, 225? Is that right?
234 and a half.
234,
yeah,
okay.
Yep. So I think it was 14 was when we tied the record, and then we beat it in 16, and then we beat it again in 17, and then in 19, I think it was this past year was the second highest, but nobody pays attention to that anymore. Nobody cares about the second highest.
And then back over here, you have all your national champions. Let's
Yeah.
take a stroll through that.
Yeah, for sure.
Individual national champs, and you wait until they're graduated till you put them up on the wall.
Yeah, we figure, we don't need them coming in and seeing their own picture up here every day, but yeah, Matt Burns, Matt Burns was the originator. He was the first guy to win a national championship for us, but he was also the first champ in school history in any sport. And then tradition continued. We've had at least one national champ every year of the program, and now we're to the point where we've also had a national champ at every single weight class.
And then you said the guys get to pick their own picture.
Yeah, so that's one of the kind of cool things at the end of the year. I send them a text and say, all right, find me your picture that's going up on the wall. And usually, I think most of them have a pretty good idea of which one it's going to be ahead of time.
And then you got the rings up here. You're waiting for number 8 to go up. You got 7.
Yep, so the company we work with, they'll always do a little poster for us, and each ring gets hung when that's done. And it's kind of funny, I'll show you the rings later, but that very first one in 2009 or 2012, we thought it was big at the time, and then of course each year it's grown a little, and they're too big for me. You'll not see me wearing them, but they're fun to show off.
What are the challenges being off-site? It is cool to have a standalone, and you have a massive space. Are there any challenges that come with being off-site?
Of course there's always guys that don't have cars, but for the most part, there really hasn't been an issue. I mean, our guys, they carpool down here. If somebody's coming down here, it's funny because we've had our old wrestling room on campus, and so when we do individual drills, we give them the option of coming down here or drilling on campus, and we never drill on campus. I mean, there'll be some guys that'll use that space either right before or right after our team lifts, but for the most part, if we're doing something individually, the guys always want to be down here, and so it's been pretty easy, just getting back and forth. And worst case, I mean, it's not even a half mile, so you can always jog down here too. So.
Are people amazed when they see how big this place is?
They are, yeah. It's fun to watch the reactions when people walk in, and typically they've seen our old space, and they've kind of and they're used to seen wrestling rooms that that are pretty typical average wrestling rooms, and so you walk in here and just the space, the size, all of it, man. It's really it's high level, and it's something that we talk about a lot. We won 4 national titles in the old room, and we won 4 in this room. And it really comes down to the facility doesn't decide if you win a national title or not. It doesn't decide how good you are, but it does give you the opportunity to do everything you need to do to train the right way. And the other thing for us, the way we look at this room is this is a really good example of how Grandview University thinks about wrestling. We're a small school. We've only got about 2,000 students, but we've never set a limit on how good the program could be. We've never set a limit on what could happen here. And this is a great example of that. This is obviously we've got one of the top facilities in the nation, probably in any division, and that's just how we think around here. That's how we kind of have set the bar since day one.
We've seen the wrestling room, now off to the wrestling offices. We'll be there in just a minute.
Sounds good.
We continue our tour of the Grandview University wrestling facilities. We're going to go to Nick Mitchell's office, and then we're going to go through where the old wrestling room is, but take us down this hallway and explain what we're about to see.
Yeah, so this is mostly coach's offices up here. The athletic director's office is up here. This is kind of our landing place where our athletic director's assistant works. And then come through this way, and this is my old office right here. And then actually, as most people know, we just started women's wrestling, and so that's now the women's wrestling coach. He took over that office, and so we moved across the hall here. And you can see this is where the magic happens right here. You got Coach Henderson, Coach Reedy. So these guys are both full time. So we're probably maybe one of the only, if not the only, non-Division I programs that has 3 full-time coaches on staff. We have a grad assistant too, so really 4 of us that are pretty much here all day, every day.
Does this work okay to have 3 coaches in the same office?
So far it's been good,
okay.
But we are building a wall, so we've been contemplating if we should keep this temporary or build the wall, and I vote build the wall. So we're going to build a wall here. We're going to put a door in. We'll have a little bit more privacy here. So if a guy needs to come in here and talk to me, or if he needs to come in and get yelled at by me, then we'll have a little more privacy to get that done. So that's the game plan. So this side is my office, and just this is where I hang out during the day.
Are the rings you were talking about?
Championship rings there. Got 7 in that one. We got 1 more coming. I've got room for a couple more too. So we'll see.
And then this walks right out to where the.
Yeah, this takes us to the old wrestling room, which is now going to be our women's wrestling room. Eric Thompson.
He wasn't too bad. Yeah, 3-timer.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the original room. This is where we got started. So right now they're in the process of getting new mats ordered for this room for the women. And when we first got started, they brought us up here. I remember when I came on tour for my interview, they brought me up here and he asked me what I thought. And at that point, I was excited. It didn't matter to me about the size. I didn't care. I was just excited to be here. But there was a wall that came across here. So originally they thought we needed some storage space. So right where that kind of red post is, this came across right here. So at that point, the room was only this big, and so we knocked that wall out after year number 1. Actually, just me and some guys on the team, we got to go ahead and we just got some hammers and tore the wall down, and it gave us a little bit more space here. And as you can imagine, as we grew, this place got full. We got to a point where we were having to do some split practices. But you know what? We liked it in here. We won 4 titles in here. And so, like I said earlier, it wasn't just about the facility. It was about the people. And I tell you what, in this room, man, there was some intensity. And you just couldn't hide in here. And we were talking earlier. It's just some funny things, that I remember in this room. I remember Eric Thompson doubling one of our heavyweights through that door, and those are like steel doors. And he busted through the doors. He put a dent in the door. Our administration was like, how did he possibly put a dent in the steel door? And I was like, well, Eric's a big guy, so he put one of our guys through that. And then there's a couple of doors over there too. Those lead out to the office space. And I remember Dallas Houchins and Quentin Haynes, 2 guys that ended up being multi-time All-Americans for us. They wrestled through that door and they started fighting in the hallway on the floor. And my AD, he's a baseball guy. He was not. He just didn't know what to expect. He didn't know what was going on, but we loved it, And we had guys come in here maybe the first time in the program, they'd get pushed against the wall and stop and think that that was okay to stop, and then they'd find out they'd get their feet pulled out from underneath them, or you trip over another group and think that somebody's going to let you up and they just jump on you. And if you ever get put on your back and stop wrestling, that was going to be a mistake, because about 20 guys would be screaming at you, telling you to fight and get off your back. So it was fun, man. It was something that we actually talked about bringing our team up here to work out a few times this year, and having the women go down and work out in our room, just so our guys would know, like, hey, this is where we got started. This is what it was. It didn't matter where we were, and it was the intensity level and the work that went into it that helped us be successful. So right out here is where Thompson hit the infamous double, and this takes us out to like a little indoor track. They're actually putting some new weight equipment in here right now, but this is this area up here is just a weight room for all students. A lot of athletes use it when they're not doing their team lifts, but like I said, anybody can use this. There's a bunch of cardio equipment over there, and then we do some track work here in the mornings after our morning lifts. So really good spot. We're fortunate to have all this close together right here too. And then right underneath us is where our athletic weight room is. So again, it's nice just having all this close. Right down the stairs here. Coach Page there, our strength coach. So this is where we do all of our team lifts. And again, it's nice. It's big enough we can get everybody in here if we need to. So a lot of our preseason work, we do everybody at once. And then throughout the season, we'll kind of split it into a couple of groups, kind of work around the guys' class schedule. But again, we've got everything we need. So it's been a great situation for us.
Last stop on the tour, we'll go to the arena where you compete. So we'll stop here and we'll join you at the arena.
Sounds good.
Final stop on our Grandview University tour with Nick Mitchell. We are in the home site where you have home dual meets. See 8 banners up here. We talked about that. Up top there has to feel good to know you have championships in here, but dual meets, big part of any program. And this is where you have them.
Yeah, this is where we do it. And the nice thing about this venue is it's not huge, but it gets full. And so we really try to focus a lot in the last few years of just creating a fun environment in here. When I first got the program started, honestly, I didn't do a very good job of that. I didn't do a great job of promoting, and I didn't do a great job of making sure the duels were exciting, fun events to be at. And a lot of that was just because it was kind of the last thing on my list, on my focus. I was so worried about just building the team and and the success of the program. But as we had some guys graduate, some of our alums actually helped step up with that. Like Ty Noller, he bought us the spotlight, so we put that in a few years ago and try to make sure our dance team's at the duels. We use the spotlight, get some music going, try to hype it up a little bit. Last year we started doing an alumni social before the duels, and just to show those guys how much we appreciate them. We want them there, but we just want to make sure we get an opportunity to hang out with those guys, and what better excuse to hang out than come to a duel and hang out for a little bit, and then we'll spend some time with them after the duel too. So yeah, man, it's been a great situation here. And I think the first duel will always be the most packed duel back in 2008. Gable showed up to that duel and did a little talk before, so that might have had something to do with it too. But, yeah, I've got, like I said, got the banners up here, and then just put the last banner on the other side. This takes us out to kind of our lobby area where our trophy case is.
And this has been good for just team building. You were talking earlier about just having socials and how important that is to engage alumni.
It is, man. We're so grateful for those guys because, maybe right now it's a little bit easier to decide to come to Grandview because the success that we've had, what you're getting into. But some of those guys, they took a chance on us. They took a chance on me and this program. And I think back on guys like Jimmy Schuessler and Gustavo Martinez and so many of those guys, Eric Thompson, Chad Lohman, these guys. And then the early days with Nick Kaufman and Ty Noller and Travis Evans, they were the originators of this program. And so those are the founders, man. Those are the guys that really got this thing going. And our program, we'd be nothing without those guys. And so we owe them all the credit, really. And that's what led to this. We've got our 8 national championships here. Got the national dual championships right above that. And I don't spend a lot of time down here looking at it, but it is cool to, when you get an opportunity to kind of look back and reflect and think about each one of those individually and kind of what went into it, and the stories that come out of each year. It makes you think about those guys and the work that they put in, and it was a lot of fun, man.
Nick, thanks for this great tour. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you guys.